Is it wrong for a woman to cross her legs when sitting? Why do we have to put the cloth napkin on our lap? What is the correct way to stand? Hi, how are you? Welcome to the Etiquette and Protocol channel. And in today's video, it's another Q&A with questions sent by you. By the way, if you want your question answered in the next videos, pause this video now and leave your question in the comments below. Your question can be about anything, and who knows, maybe in the next videos we'll pick your question to feature here. Well, let's get to the questions for this session. There are already several similar videos, and I'll list them all below if you'd like to watch them. Samira asked, in the case of women, is it wrong to cross your legs? Well, Samira, it's not wrong for you to cross your legs. But there are some points that can be harmful when it comes to women sitting with their legs crossed. First, it's the amount of time you can spend with your legs crossed. Unfortunately, you can't stay with your legs crossed for too long without having to uncross or switch your legs, right? Second, I don't recommend crossing your legs and leaving a very wide angle between the leg that's on top and the leg that's underneath. That's why every time you sit down and want to cross your legs, they need to be closer together and aligned. That's why I recommend other ways of sitting, because you'll be able to project a more elegant posture and you'll be able to stay like that for much longer without needing to make small adjustments. Not to mention that when we want to project an elegant posture while sitting, we shouldn't rest our back against the back of the chair, except for example at work when we'll be sitting for a long time. Or me, since I'm recording this video series for the channel and have been here a while. So it's natural for us to lean back and rest our backs against the back of the chair. But to project an elegant posture when sitting, I recommend either keeping your legs parallel or crossed in front. And if you want to cross your legs, keep one leg close to the other and make sure the sole of your foot is always pointing toward the floor. Agreed? Never let the sole of your shoe show to other people. Luelma commented, when I'm standing waiting for someone or something, I never know how I should behave. Should I keep my legs together, cross them, put my hands behind my back, or in front? When we have big bags, should I hold them in my hand or leave them on my shoulder? Yes, Luelma, lots of questions, and I will help you with all of them. When you are standing, ideally your feet should be parallel, or you can place one foot slightly in front of the other. I don't recommend that you keep doing that pendulum thing, like shifting your weight from one side to the other. That's why you should keep your feet parallel. Of course, not too far apart, but like this. About 15 centimeters apart. Place one foot on parallel to your body or in front, never behind, because sometimes it might give the impression that you're hiding something or something like that. And it's worth remembering that hands in front is not the same as crossed arms. They're two different things. Crossed arms. They can put you in a situation where you seem uninterested in what the other person is saying or in the environment. It can show that you're impatient, that you're closed off to that situation. So to stay open and to seek connections with other people, the ideal is to keep your hands parallel or slightly in front. About your purse, you can keep your purse on your shoulder, that's not wrong, or you can also keep it here on your forearm. There's a channel video about purse etiquette. I'll leave the link down below in the description for you to watch and understand a little more about how to use purses and the different styles. How to carry them will definitely help you a lot. Loretta, she asked, the fork should be turned with the curve facing up. That's only for pizza. Well, Loretta. So I don't know if that was a question or an exclamation because there's an exclamation mark. I'll take that as a statement, but I mentioned this to clarify. No, that's not the case, everyone. The fork is not placed with the curve facing down, except when it's for pizza or some specific foods. There are actually 2, even 3 table manners styles, and in the American style, the fork is placed with the tines facing up In European continental style, forks are turned so the curve faces up and the tines face down. If you want to know a little more about these differences, table manners in more detail, to understand a bit more about table behavior. According to international etiquette rules, which are used all over the world, I recommend you check out our etiquette and good manners course. The link is here in the video description. You can enroll in our school. It's completely online, Institute of Etiquette and Protocol, and you'll definitely learn how to handle table manners. Oh, and it's worth remembering that with pizza, we can use utensils, but we can also eat pizza with our hands. It's not wrong. According to etiquette rules, it's important to point out that many times we think etiquette is going to make things harder for our society. However, in some contexts, especially formal or important ones, that's exactly the case. Is it correct to eat pizza with your hands? Whether you eat pizza with utensils or with your hands depends on the environment and the context you're in. Roseli Matos asked, what is the purpose of the napkin on your lap? Well, that's a really interesting question. The napkin on your lap, is it really meant to protect your clothes? And also so the napkin isn't visible to other people. Because imagine if the napkin stayed on the table. We would probably end up seeing other people's messes there, or yours, or from other friends who are sharing the table with you. So to keep everything more discreet without that mess being visible, which can sometimes even be a little gross, we end up seeing our friend's mess. We keep it on our lap and use it both to protect our lap and to wipe our mouth. Nazarita Almeida asked, and if the stem of the glass is short, how should I hold it? It really depends on the size of your glass's stem. But if it's very short and depending on the drink you're having, you can hold it by the bowl. That's not a problem. If it's a glass like the one in this video, you can hold it and that's fine. For those who want to know more about glass etiquette, there's a video here on the channel called Glass Guide, okay? Anything you want to search for here on YouTube about etiquette. Sometimes you want to look something up. Let me see if the Etiquette and Protocol channel has that information. You can type your question in Etiquette and Protocol. You can type something like napkin and then write Etiquette and Protocol, purses, Etiquette and Protocol, glasses, Etiquette and Protocol. In the YouTube search bar, because you will find our videos, this is a very interesting way for you to find our content. Because sometimes a specific question you have may have already been answered in a video, even in much more detail. Dr. Karina Alvarenga asked, at a Japanese restaurant, can the sauce fall on our clothes? Can I lean to avoid that? Yes. There are some foods where we can slightly lean our bodies, like in the case of noodles. Also, soup or foods that are a bit more tricky, like Japanese food. So it's not wrong. Of course, you're not going to lie down completely to eat your sushi, but leaning slightly is no problem. It's not wrong. Chris Vittetti, what should you do when you're waiting for people at the table for lunch or dinner? However, they don't really care, so it doesn't matter. I think that I don't know Chris, but from my interpretation, here you are waiting for people at the table to have the meal together. The food has sometimes already been served and people just end up chatting. They don't go to serve themselves. Anyway, if it's a situation with a slightly bigger event, Chris, you don't need to wait for everyone to be served before you start eating. Wait until about 70% of the people have already gone there to serve themselves, have already been served. And then yes, you can start your meal. However, if it's a gathering or a situation with just a few people, the ideal is to wait for everyone before starting your meal. If you are the hostess, the ideal is for you to invite people and be a leader at your event. So the hostess really has the role of organizing things in our home. So do it this way. It will help a lot. I hope these tips have helped you. And since we talked about questions and answers, you might have other doubts. For example, can you dip your bread roll in coffee? Is that polite? Is it elegant? Is it possible to do that? Will etiquette allow it or not? Well, I suggest you click here on the side and watch the Q&A video where I answered this question and several others. I'll wait for you there. Hugs. See you in the next video.